guys, and welcome back to the podcast. My name is Robbie Cassidy, and on this week's episode of the podcast, we're going to talk about routines and morning routines specifically. Now, it's something that I want to go into because of the fact that we're coming into the summertime. A lot more people now are going to have a bit more of a strict routine around training, around even going on nights out, on going away for adventures, whatever it is. It's going to be a bit more structured now. And getting your week right can be massive in helping you, I guess, get the most out of your summer and get the most out of every day. Okay, so I want to cover morning routines. First off, I'm going to talk about, are they important? How can they help? And then I'm going to talk you through my routine and what I do on a day-to-day basis, or what I try to do most days. Now, the thing about it is, I guess morning routines aren't going to be for everybody, because you have morning people, obviously, you have night owls. It really depends on what way you are. Now, the reason I like to try have a consistent routine in the morning is because it's, first off, it's helpful in me getting a few things out of the way that I know if I push them out till later in the day, most likely won't happen. So like reading and journaling, stuff like that. I like to get that done straight away in the morning, because then I can be consistent with it. I know what time I'm doing it at. And later on in the day, I don't have to try and make space for it. All right. And I find as well, it kind of transitions me into the day. So I'm not just jumping straight up out of bed and going at things 100%. It gives me a bit of this transition period between when I wake up and when I start getting going, for work especially. So I really try to avoid that feeling of being rushed or confused, or even that feeling of being late. Now, I'm someone who is notoriously late for training and meetings and stuff like that. There's no question. But in terms of actually having to get up in the morning and have to rush out the door for something, it's something that I am pretty strict on doing, is that I try to keep it so that I have an hour of time, I guess, to transition from a sleep mode into more of a wakeful mode. And it's the same at nighttime. I don't work up until I finish, or I don't work up until I go to bed. Obviously, I work until I finish. I don't work up until I go to bed, because I find that when I do go to bed, then my head is just locked in. I'm still thinking about a lot of things that I could have got done, I should have got done, and then I don't sleep as well. So I try to apply that same principle to the morning time. Okay, and I think you can take the same principle and apply it throughout your day if you'd like, in terms of having your times that you're high energy and that you're getting work done, and then having the times that you're kind of recess and you pull back and you relax a small bit. I think that's really, really important, and I think it's a principle that we can all follow. And it's something that I introduce with all my clients, in that we look at high days, we look at low days, we look at fitting more recovery periods in throughout every day, because I think most people are more inclined to just push on and keep getting work done, and they have busy schedules and training to get to and stuff like that. So that's why I try to fit in those recovery periods during the day. And I think having a period where you have your highs and lows is really important. So just after you wake up, I think it's a great time. It helps you to structure your day. You'll improve your sleep, because you won't be waking up during the night because of the fact that you think you have to get out of bed to get something done really quickly. Okay. And I find that if I do stay up late and I do work till late at night, that I am more likely to wake up multiple times throughout the night, and that I'm not as well rested. So are they important? They're not essential, definitely not essential, because different things work for different people. But I think having one or two or even three tasks that you can do in the morning to help you set up for the day is really, really good in helping you getting into the right mindset. So, and as I said, like, it's really just about avoiding that feeling of being rushed and confused in the morning. And what you'll find is how you start your morning a lot of the time will dictate how your day goes. So if you get up in the morning and you're checking Instagram and you're checking news and you're checking all this really stimulating articles or videos or whatever it is, you'll find that at times during the day you'll be more on edge. Okay, well, I find it, and I find it with my clients. You may be different, but I think how you start your morning really carries over into the day. So having a small bit of structure around what you do in the morning can really help. So looking at ways then of how the morning routines can help. As I said, are they important, not essential? How they can help to give you that more clarity. And as I said, for myself, it really gives me time to fit in things that I feel I'm not going to get done during the day. For a lot of people, this could be something like meditation. You know, when your day kicks off and you start running from one thing to the next, and then as your day starts to wind down, a lot of the time we say, oh, we'll do this, and then you're tired at the end of the day and you feel like it's not the best time to do a meditation, or you may just want to sit back and watch Netflix, or you might have to squeeze in a gym session, or even your training session with your team carries on longer than it should have. It gets a lot more difficult to fit things in. So that's why I think you have a block in the morning, depending on what time you get up at, to fit in those things that might be more difficult. And for a lot of people that I work with, that's when we fit in mobility routines. And it's like, people always ask me, when's the best time to do it, morning or evening? There really isn't a better time to do it. It's whatever time that you're able to stick to, whatever time you can be more consistent with, and you know every day you're going to get it in. That's really the best time to do it. And a lot of the time you have that uninterrupted hour and a half in the morning that you may be able to squeeze in 15 minutes of a mobility session, or 15 minutes of a journaling session, or meditation session, or breathing session. And I think for me, especially when I get these things done early in the morning, it feels like I've accomplished something early in the day, and I can carry that over on into my day then, that I've already ticked a couple of boxes. It's nearly like having your to-do list ticked off, that you know you have things done. So if all else fails, you can fall back on that. And I think that's an important thing to reflect on, or to know, is that if you can get things done early in the morning, it really does set up your day. You don't feel as under pressure. You're not as stressed to get things done. You don't feel like you're wasting time as much, because you've already accomplished a good part of your day that's going to set you up for the rest of the week or the rest of the month. Okay. And when you have that done, for me anyway, the journaling and the reading, that transition period helps. I guess it kind of clears my mind and helps to remove any confusion about things that I need to get done. So what I'll do is I'll talk through my routine. I'll talk through my my optimal routine when I take all of them off, what it looks like, as opposed to what my routine looks like most of the time. Okay, because some days, as we all know, you're not going to get everything in. You wake up later, you may have went to bed late at night, you're not in the mood, you have training, you have to get something done, you might have to jump on a call, whatever it is. So that's why I'm going to talk through the ones that I always tick off, and then after that, then it's things that I like to squeeze in when I have time. So when I wake up, I usually get up, and now it really depends on what I'm doing. And I found my sleep schedule for the last couple of weeks has been up and down a small bit, just with different things going on and having to get different things fixed and that. So if I get up at, let's say, 6:45, I will, first thing I'll do, hop out of bed, and I'll turn around and I'll make my bed. It's something I picked up from Tim Ferriss or Kevin Rose, and it's something that I love doing. First off, because when you come back into your room at night, your bed is made, and it's just your room feels cleaner, your head feels clearer, and it's nice going to bed nice going to bed in one that's already made. It's more comfortable for me anyway. And it's one of the things that I can take off, because it's the first task of the day. Really, really simple, first task of the day, and I kind of use it as a way of it's a way of clearing up any clutter around the room. So that's like very first one I do. Jump out of bed. I'm not making a bed like you'd see in a hotel or anything like that. I literally just pull the duvet up, fold it back, set my pillows, and make sure it's not looking like a complete mess. After that, I usually have water right beside my bed, so I will try to get in 300 to 500 ml within the first half an hour or first hour, depending. And I find that's a really, really good way of just kind of getting me in the mode of drinking water for the day. Now, this morning I woke up, and I'm in Bali at the moment, so you don't exactly drink the tap water here. You have to get water delivered, and the delivery guy is at a cremation today, so my water intake is way behind. It's very low at the moment, just because we ran out of it and we're waiting to him to bring it. But in a general sense, I would usually have, before 12 o'clock, I'd try have about 1.5 liters of water drank. And I find that it just gives me energy, for the next day, and it gets me into the habit of drinking water. Now, something I've kind of gotten into more recently, I fall in and out of the habit of doing it, but I put a pinch of salt in my water, and then I actually just throw creatine straight in there as well. It works for some people. Other people like to put it in different things like smoothies, and that probably is nicer to put it in a smoothie. But in general, I just like to toss it in the water, and I'll be sipping on it then as the day goes on. But it's one way I get it in, because I know when I'm down there, if I just have it ticked off straight away, it's done. I don't have to think later on today, oh shit, I must get my creatine in. And I use that just as a performance, for the performance benefits of it. So once I have my water drink, I have my journal and the book that I'm reading right beside my bed, and I have a pencil and a rubber beside that, or an eraser beside that. Straight away pick them up. Where I'm living at the moment, it's good because I can go up to the rooftop and sit out there and get sunlight in. But I really try to get in sunlight within the first 10 minutes of waking. Okay, so these things usually are ticked off one after another. And what I'll do is I'll sit out there I'm usually outside for probably 40 minutes now in the morning, up to an hour some mornings, depending what time I get up. But I always, even if I don't have everything else done, try to get in between 2 and 10 minutes of sunlight as early as possible after waking. And it's a thing that I introduce with all of my clients because of the fact that it's so important in setting your sleep schedules and improving, or to work on your sleep for the next night. You need to have that in place. Okay, so it's something that I always try to do, is 2 to 10 minutes, even if there's cloud cover, stand out and take in sunlight. And sometimes I literally just stand out on the lawn looking up at the sky, like it's nothing crazy. Now, at this stage, because of what I'm doing at the moment, when I was in the last house, I used to take in the sunlight and I used to sit inside and do my reading. For now, I have the opportunity to do my reading outside, so it just helps me to get things in place. But I find this period is it's one of my favorite times of the day, is when I can just sit out and I can either journal or read. Now, some days I'll do both, but I'd be lying if I said I did that every day. Most of the time, it's depending on how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling like my mind is cluttered or I have a few things on my mind, I'll go straight to the journal. Things I've been using for journaling recently, I've been either asking a question at the top of the page. I've been just writing down what's on my day. I actually did one the other day I was journaling on what my 40-year-old self would say to my 26-year-old self. And then I took a picture of it and I uploaded it to Google Drive because I want to read back on that in a couple of years. But that was a nice one for me to do because it was just a perspective changer. Usually, as I said, I either ask a question or I just write about how I'm feeling. And I thought this was a good one because it was like I can reflect on ways that I was thinking, and it kind of puts you in the future to think back. So I read or journal between 40 minutes and an hour, and what I'm reading at the moment, it depends. I'm reading, I keep flicking back through The Art of War. I read The Alchemist recently, which is very, very good. I'm on to my next 5 moves, or Your Next 5 Moves it's called. It's a strategy book, but it really depends on the mood that I'm in. Something I picked up from a guy, he's Alex Hormozy. He's an interesting character. He's like a business investor, but he basically talks about having different seasons. And I find that's true with me as well, is that I will go through seasons of that I just read all health-based topics. Then I'll go through mindset ones, and I'll go through it might be psychology, it could be like physio-based ones, it could be injury rehab ones, it could be mobility ones, and it could be sleep, whatever it is. And then I'll come back around, and I love to read into like strategy books, business books, even like what some people would call, I guess, self-help type books, where you're looking at structuring your day and looking at structuring habits and that. So it changes really depending on what season I'm in at the moment. Right now I'm in a season of, I think, more health-based books, but I also want to start reading a small bit more fiction because it's probably a bit too non-fiction focused for the last couple of years. So I want to try delve into that a small bit more. And The Alchemist, if anyone's looking for one, I was recommended to me by 3 or 4 different people in the space of 2 weeks. So I thought that was a good enough sign to jump on board with that. and I loved it. So if anyone has a chance, I would definitely say to pick up that book and read it. After my reading or journaling, what I'll usually do is I will go downstairs and I'll start to eat breakfast. So it's simple enough: porridge at the minute, either honey, jam, peanut butter, whatever I put in it with it. But I usually like to have a podcast on at the same time. Now, this is something that I need to really think about. Is it the most beneficial thing to do, or should I actually give that time so I can just clear my head after reading? But at the moment, I have been listening to podcasts. I'm very strict about avoiding my phone until 9 a.m. I never look at my phone. I never look at, like, say, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, anything like that before 9 a.m. unless I have a podcast on. And it's something that I try to be as disciplined as possible about. And the reason being is there's two things for it. First off, I don't want to clutter my mind early in the morning. But the other reason is, and I recommend it for a lot of people as well, a lot of clients, is to try stay away as much as possible unless you're getting your mobility sessions in. The other reason is that I can celebrate that win every day at 9 o'clock. So once 9 o'clock rolls around, I know that, oh yes, that's a good win to start out the day. I haven't checked Instagram, I haven't checked TikTok, I haven't checked anything like that, WhatsApp, because I try not to. I feel that, like, most things can wait until 9 a.m, especially because I'm 8 hours ahead here. And a lot of my clientele will be in Ireland. I know some of them are in Canada and San Francisco and that as well. But in general, most people around are in Europe, and most of them won't be awake anyway if I go replying to them. So wait until 9 o'clock is a huge thing for me. Then I set out my tasks for the day before I check Instagram, and I try to fit in creative work within the first 2 hours. Okay, so my tasks for the day can be simple things. I usually try to do 2 to 3 things. I can get caught by putting down 5 or 6. I know when I put down 5 or 6, I'm more likely to do the easier tasks and tick them off and be like, oh, it was a good day today. But I've tried to minimize that now and just do 3 tasks where I get whatever done, because if I do that, then I'm moving forward in what I have to get done, or I get the most important things done, because I found writing 5 or 6 tasks down, it's very easy to fall back on the easiest tasks, but the ones that don't make that much of a difference. And as I said, after that, I just set out my creative work for 2 hours. So that could be like writing posts, it could be planning podcasts, it could be planning anything. And I find the 2 hours in the morning it's a great time to do that, as opposed to checking email, and as opposed to doing anything else. I find that's the perfect time for me to do it, because I feel I'm most creative at that time. Now, how do I mix this in with clients, or what would I change there? With clients, I'd usually try to get them, I do everything in terms of wake up, drink water, get your sunlight in, and then I usually say to people to try avoid their phone. But for a lot of people, it's about, because a lot of people are working, so it's about either having everything set out so that you can, when you come home at night, it's going to be easier to fall into your habit of getting, let's say, a gym session in or a mobility session in, where you can come back, you have your clothes laid out, you have the mat laid out. You may have checked the exercises that you're going to be doing that evening before, so that way you can just look at them, you have an idea what you're doing, and it just makes everything so much easier to fall into. So I think that's a huge one. It's about just setting out what you can do to minimize the friction of you doing it later on. Setting out the clothes is a huge one for that. If you have your clothes set out for going to the gym or going to wherever, everything's packed, it just makes it that much easier. When you come back, you can just pick it up and go straight out the door, as opposed to having to go over and pick it all up and then organize it, and it just makes it so much more awkward. Something that I would like to do more, but I have a bad habit of not doing it because of my training schedule is on Tuesday and Thursday. I usually go to jiu-jitsu at 9 o'clock, and then other days I might be playing tennis, or other days I might be going to the gym early. I would like to try squeeze in a walk there in the morning, but I'd be lying to say that I did every morning. But it's definitely something that I should fit in more, because that exercise in the morning is going to be huge. But I just haven't really had the time to do it. That's a lie. I just haven't prioritized doing it. So yeah, that's one thing I would change in it. Now, what are my non-negotiables? My non-negotiables every day are making the bed in the morning, drinking water apart from today, and getting sunlight. They're my absolute, and avoiding the phone until 9 a.m. They're my absolute non-negotiables. Something that I do mostly now, more so than I used to, is I avoid coffee up until 90 minutes after waking, because you do get a natural rise in energy anyway in the morning. And sometimes if you just take coffee, if you drink coffee out of the sake of it, you can dampen that. So I like to get that first lift in the morning and then drink my coffee after that, because I just get a second jump out of it, really, but not essential. So yeah, I'd like you to have a think about actually as well, what are your non-negotiables? What do you do every morning, even out of habit now at this stage? It could be that you jump in and get a shower. I'll usually shower after training. But yeah, it could be you jump in and get a shower. It could be that you have, let's say, certain things that you like to set out. It could be that, I know some people like to play Sudoku in the morning. Some people like to play online chess. Different things like that. But yeah, I'd like you to think about, what are your non-negotiables in the morning? And what do you prioritize? And is there anything else that you can fit in? I know a lot of people get up really early to train in the morning, which I think is excellent. I think it's such a good idea because it's out of the way, and you feel so good for the rest of the day. It's just not something that I have gotten to the habit of doing unless I'm going out for like an early morning surf, something like that. But yeah, that's all I'm going to leave you with this week, guys. Kind of a quick fire one that I just got through everything there. But really, all we're looking at is, our morning rituals or our morning routines essential? They're not essential for everybody. If you feel like you're okay with the way you're going, perfect. But if you feel like a small bit more structure in the morning could be better for you, I would usually set 2 to 3 things first, get those in, and then build on top of that. Because it does help you clear your mind. It does help you have a bit more, I guess, carry over a bit more structure into your day. And then I feel, for me, when I have a good morning, when you win the morning, you win the day. And I usually have a way better day after that. So yeah, that's everything for me. Other than that, I guess the other thing I was going to throw in is, if coming into the summer now, a lot of people are getting onto me with different injuries, whether it be knee injuries seem to have really kicked up recently. I think it's probably just because the running that people are doing, getting into the summertime, or even up in their gym work. If you are carrying, or if you know anyone that's carrying any recurring injuries, things that they've been carrying for months or years, even things that just keep coming back, definitely send me a message. Get onto me on Instagram, which is Mobility Tutor, or you can get onto me or send me an email at mobilitytutor@gmail.com. I have a contact sheet on Instagram that if you fill out, I'll just get onto you as soon as I see it. And at least then it will... we can jump on a call, talk through what issues you're having, and I can see if I can help you out. But yeah, it is that time of the year that people are getting back into training a good bit more. And with that increase in training, you're always going to see an increase in injury rate and injury occurrence. So you may as well clear those things up as early as possible, because you don't want them to be holding you back later on in the season. So that is all from me. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would love if you could rate it on Spotify or on iTunes. Spotify, you can rate them now, so that would be excellent. If you could do that, I would also absolutely love if you could share it on your story on Instagram or TikTok. I think you could share TikTok stories now as well, but on your story, because it would really help with promoting the podcast and get it out to more people. And then because of that, the larger the audience, the better guests I can get on. And I do have a couple of great guests coming on over the next couple of weeks in terms of psychologists, strength and conditioning coaches, nutritionists. So look forward to that, because I really am. And if anyone has any questions, I'll make sure to pop them up on Instagram, because they know their stuff, they know their shit. But yeah, that's everything from me. Hope everyone is doing well, and I will chat to you all again next week. Have a good one.